If you've watched videos here on YouTube from enthusiasts of generative AI video, then you'd be forgiven for believing that AI is just moments away from being able to produce its own major feature-length blockbuster Hollywood movies. None of this is true, but that doesn't stop the many AI enthusiasts on YouTube and elsewhere from constantly making believe that it is true. But it's not, because right now, generative AI video and imagery is basically at the space heater stage. We'll get back to the space heaters in just 1 second, but first let's talk just a little bit more about generative AI and how it isn't going to be coming for Hollywood anytime soon. The first time I made a video on this a few months back, it actually got some pushback. People saying things like, oh, I think you're underestimating AI. I don't think you can see how fast the technology is advancing. And not to toot my own horn, but within a few weeks to a month of putting out my video, I started to see more and more videos backing me up, saying AI is never really going to produce much that you can use for making a feature-length film. It's really just going to produce stock clips and good luck trying to put them all together and make something coherent out of it. The reason for this is pretty simple. Generative AI is simply learning from thousands or millions or billions of images and videos that it's taken in and averages out and then spits out something new based on all of that. Until we can get past that point, it's really never going to improve much. This is where the space heater comes in. If you go to a hardware store or look online to buy a space heater, you'll always see lots of different models. And the different models will say different things. They'll say things like, this space heater heats up to 400 square feet. This one heats 1,200 square feet. This has 3 settings. This has 5 settings. But none of it's real. None of it matters. A space heater is simply something that is taking the electricity from your outlet and converting it into heat for the coils. That's it. Your outlet has 15 amps, and that's what the space heater is drawing from. Usually about 12 to 12.5 amps. No matter what space heater you buy, they're always going to be 1,500 watt space heaters. Always. That's what a space heater is. It's never going to be more than that. Generative AI is much the same. It's at a kind of a stopping point. Until we go far past the weak AI or narrow AI and get into full general AI or strong AI and even beyond that, where we're really getting into human intelligence level AI, we're not going to be able to do much more. Generative AI isn't doing a specific narrow task like narrow AI, but it's really not that much different either. It's kind of stuck in between. The main drawback of AI generative video is that you, the director, will never have the final say on what it looks like. Oh, sure, you may be the one who gives the final word on that's the clip we'll use, but you won't have any say on really what that clip looks like. When you are actually working with human beings, you can talk to the DP, you can talk to the screenwriter, you can talk to the actors. You can work with them and talk about what you want to change in the scene, what you want more from them on the set, what you want from the lighting, what you want from the camera angles, and they will get that. AI won't, and AI never will, because despite the fact that you think you have control because you're the one putting in the prompt and providing it with the initial image, you really don't have any control. AI isn't actually listening to you. When you say, I want this shot to look like this and go in this direction, it's not actually listening to that. It's actually just culling together millions of images that have the general direction you asked for and millions of images that have the general lighting you asked for, averaging them together and then spitting it out to you. It's not giving you precisely what you asked for. It's giving you an average of what it generally thinks you're asking for. Now, to test and demonstrate the limitations of generative AI video, I decided to use 3 iconic images from 3 separate movies and see if generative AI could complete the scene. Spoiler, it couldn't. Let's give it a look. Now, the first one I did was exceedingly simple. I wanted to use simple action for starters, give it something very easy that it could do. I selected all 3 of these very specifically for particular reasons. The first one is Chariots of Fire, and the iconic image is this one. Now, everybody knows that image. Anybody who knows movies sees that image, they're like, oh yeah, that's Chariots of Fire, got it. That's the opening credits, and it's also the closing scene, and you see them running on the beach, and yeah, Chariots of Fire. We all know that one. But AI doesn't necessarily know it. AI, however, does know what men running on a beach looks like. And if you do a Google search for images or videos of men running on a beach, you'll come up with a lot of results. And AI is going to take those results into account. Now, when I put in the prompts, which was essentially just these men, in white shirts, running on a beach in slow motion, AI didn't really have an issue putting that together because it had a lot of information to call from. And it produced this. They're kind of slowing down. They're not running too fast. Also, check out the guy behind Ian Charleston right there. Look at him. That guy, he's having the time of his life. He is loving that beach, people. The guy behind Ben Cross back there, that one right there, yeah, he's kind of just slowing down to a walk. But overall, generally, it's not bad. It ain't great, but it's not bad. It had a lot to go from. You look up men running, and you're going to get a lot. So the second image I chose was from Jaws. And if you want iconic, well, Jaws is the one to go with. The image I chose was Brody chumming from the back of the orca. I specifically chose the moment the shark appears, just before that, when he's chumming, to see if I could prompt AI to give me what Steven Spielberg produced with the movie. Now, I'm not going to show you all the prompts because I can't even tell you. Just to get that Chariots of Fire clip, that took like 12 different attempts just to get to that piece of crap clip you saw. Okay, Jaws took a lot more. But the point is, Jaws had a lot to pull from too. Because if you put in chumming to sharks or man chumming to a great white shark into Google, again, you're going to get a lot of results. I mean, Discovery's old Shark Week alone has probably generated enough footage and imagery for AI to go on for the next 100 years. So, man chumming to a great white shark isn't something AI is going to be very confused about. But it is going to be confused about what it is you want. Now, I got to the point where I was describing in detail exactly what I wanted, as well as using many negative prompts. Telling it I wanted them chumming, I wanted the shark's head abruptly popping up out of the water, all the things you're seeing in the actual movie Jaws. In the end, after multiple attempts, this was the best I could do. There he is. He's looks more like he's floating, actually, than popping up out of the water. Looks more like he's a buoy that was kind of underwater and he's kind of popping up above. And it also just obviously looks very computer generated. I mean, say what you will about the original shark in Jaws, Bruce, the damn thing was real. It was an actual physical presence on the set that could be lit properly and filmed properly, and it could work with the actors. And I'll take that any day of the week. Now I went to my third choice. And for my third iconic clip, I chose one that AI would have no idea about. You see, there are a lot of shots out there of guys running on a beach. There are a lot of videos and shots out there of men chumming to sharks. But you know what there isn't a lot of? Men in business suits running from biplanes. That's right. The next iconic image I chose was Cary Grant being chased in a cornfield by a biplane in Alfred Hitchcock's 1959 thriller, North by Northwest. Now, if you go to Google Images or Google Video and you type in man being chased by a biplane, you're not going to get thousands of different results. In fact, you're going to get Cary Grant from North by Northwest. So when you put in man being chased by a biplane, I mean, you give it the starter image from North by Northwest and say man being chased by a biplane. And you put in plane pursuing him running. My prompts were obscenely long. I left out the machine guns because I didn't want to complicate it any more than it already was. I just wanted a biplane flying in the air towards the camera, chasing a man on the ground, running towards the camera. Once receiving those prompts, generative AI kicked into action. It went through its entire database of everything it had ever studied and was like, what now? Wait, a man running from a biplane. So the first clip you get is Cary Grant kind of morphing into Jeffrey Hunter, adjusting his shirt cuff, and then walking back towards the biplane, which is kind of strange. And of course, the biplane, you'll notice, is not flying, it's levitating, indicating, I guess, generative AI doesn't know that biplanes move through the air, I guess. I mean, it seems like it would. The second clip I got, and I should clarify, this isn't actually the second clip. I must have produced 30 or 40 of these. These are just the top 5 in progression of how I got them. This was probably the 5th or 6th try. And on this one, on the 5th one here, he kind of does a slow jog, which is certainly better than checking his cuff and then running back towards the plane that's trying to kill him. But nonetheless, the biplane is still levitating. It's still hovering in the background. Again, generative AI doesn't seem to quite understand what the biplane should be doing. The third one is much better. And I should say how I got these was, of course, how you do anything with generative AI. I just kept tweaking. I kept saying, okay. I need him moving forward, and I need the plane moving forward. And, you keep tweaking the prompt, hoping to get a better result. The next result wasn't bad, but AI got to do AI. And that means AI just occasionally, always, not occasionally, always, has to give you something that just, you're like, what? And in this one, it's his tie disappears. So it's not bad, but the tie becomes just this little thing hanging down from his collar there. But it's a fairly good jog, sort of. Now, in the next one, after God knows how much more tweaking, I finally got both of them moving. His tie didn't disappear, and the plane is kind of moving too, but very slowly, like 3-4 miles per hour. It's not necessarily levitating anymore. I think it's moving a little bit there. Kind of hard to tell. And then finally, I can't even tell you what level of prompting I was on at this point. I finally did get Cary Grant to run past the camera and not turn into Jeffrey Hunter, and the plane to actually move through the air. This final one here. There he goes. He's past the camera. And then, look at that. Oh my God, the plane's moving. That took a lot. That took a lot. And that last shot of him finally running past the camera and the plane finally pursuing him is still nowhere near what I would want that scene to look like. So as a director, if I literally had to rely on it, at that point, I would simply have to say, whatever, let's just go with it. And that's not how you make a movie. You don't just say, whatever, let's go with it. You say to the DP, this scene is going to involve Cary Grant running from a biplane. I want to see him coming towards the camera. I want to see the plane just beyond him, and I want to see it moving in on him. And the DP, because it's not AI, says, Yeah, I get it. I'll set that up for you. And then you get what you want. You definitely are talking to a person who understands you, who isn't like, now, do biplanes levitate? The DP's not going to say, okay, should I make his tie disappear? Should the shark kind of bob out of the water like a buoy? DPs are never going to ask those questions because why would they? That's the issue with AI. Generative AI can't listen to you. Generative AI doesn't care what you want it to produce. You're fooling yourself thinking you have any control over it. You don't. People who think that they are in control because they know all the correct prompting techniques to use still aren't really in control. Maybe they've tweaked it better than most people can, but the AI is still the one in control. The AI does not care what you, the artist, wants to produce, nor does it know. This is going to be the case until we make another great advance in AI, and not the kind they talk about in YouTube videos, but the kind where it will scarily become like human intelligence and truly start taking over. And we don't want to get to that point. At least not yet. So once again, and possibly for the last time, AI is not going to be coming for Hollywood anytime soon. In fact, each new video touting how good it's becoming is just reinforcing the fact that it's really not changing at all. That's about all I've got for this time. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel and it helps all of it. And please remember, drive safely.